What is going on, guys? And we are back. Welcome back to Two Guys and a Bard, your guys' favorite. I mean, really, we're their favorite show, right, guys?
We're the only show.
I mean, we're the
only show.
Have you guys seen any other Ashes content out there recently? I mean, I really haven't seen much of anything, to be perfectly honest. So the full crew is back tonight. Welcome back to my amazing co-hosts, Bardic and Captain Redbeard. But okay, can someone time out Baba Yaga in the chat, please? But guys, how are you doing this week?
I'm doing good. I found out I actually live 5 minutes away from Jalan. Speaking of Jalan and
bro, you need hey, Redbeard, you need to move. I think you need to move, bro. Listen, we've had this discussion. We've had this discussion about how you don't like where I live, and that's fine. But we will take you as a refugee. No issue. You can come sleep on the couch. I got you, brother.
No, it It doesn't bother me that much. So
No,
I thought it was hilarious. Like that happens a lot with military stuff. There's a lot of like, oh, small world moments within the military, but that's like very, very small world because it's like military, but then also excited about a game that hasn't even come out yet, and both like doing content creation stuff for it. It's like that's like really small world shit right there. So that was crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, Jalon and I can PvP IRL. Let's go, Jalon. Calling you out.
Oh, do it.
Redbeard's got to dress up in pirate outfit and go against the steampunk outfit.
Oh my god. Yeah, I forgot about this. I love it.
Only if you show up to play a lute in a cat girl outfit.
I love it. I love it and hate it all so much. I love it and hate it all so much. Bardic, how have you been doing, man? How's your week been going? How your 2 weeks been going? We missed you last week.
Yeah, pretty good. I was in Maine, had a little bit of vacation, saw a bunch of old friends, and then my niece was born today. So,
oh, congratulations!
Yeah, it's a pretty good day. I think I'm gonna try and go down in the morning and see her. So, life is pretty good, moving forward faster than I'd like, but can't stop time, right?
No, unfortunately, you cannot. It's just constantly moving forward, constantly. So, boys, what are you guys drinking? What are you guys drinking tonight?
Ooh, well, I've got from, I think that's backwards, but my favorite local brewery right down in town has a Helles that I've been loving recently, and drinking that tonight.
Nice.
You heard it here first. Bart's favorite local brewery is not the one that he owns.
Hey, we own a distillery, not a brewery.
Okay, my bad.
Very different.
That's different, but if it wasn't, that would have been such a great line. I was knowing the difference between the two, I still thought that was a great line, but yeah, almost. All right, I'll as Bardic's lawyer, let me defend Bardic here a little bit. Redbeard, what cran apple infused Mountain Dew inspired kickflip 420 cocktail are you drinking tonight?
You forgot the no scope.
No scope XX.
No, I have one of those Smirnoff firecracker popsicle things that I had a few weeks back. Having one of those again with some 7-Up. So
nice.
Vodka and 7-Up, basically.
Vodka and 7-Up, nice. I'm gonna keep turning you up, Super. You are a little louder or quieter than everybody else, brother. But and I'm drinking the last, and I'm very sad, of the McKellar that I got while I was down in San Diego. The Still There West Coast style IPA, Citra something and something hopped. I looked it up. It's good. Strata, something else. They're really good. McKellar, San Diego, amazing stuff. But boys, I wanted, we had a few things that we wanted to talk about tonight, and I think we're, everyone here is really excited to hear what our opinions are moving forward with the live stream and what we think that we're getting. But I'm going to make them wait towards the end of the show, guys. I'm going to make them wait towards the end of the show for that kind of stuff. And we wanted to get fucked, nerds. Get absolutely debated. That was the verbal way. That's how you see a thumbnail live. You got clickbaited, y'all. Y'all got clickbaited right now. I want to jump right in and start talking about a topic that Bardic had brought up, and I think it's a very important topic, and I've said it multiple times on the show, right? I don't think that people are going to power level the way that they normally think that they are, with so much content and so much higher level content progressively being gated behind nodes, behind node progression, behind event progression, things like that. We were talking about burnout, and none of us here have ever burnt out in content creation or game or real life. So it's going to be a little disingenuous for us to talk about that kind of stuff. But definitely. And the question was kind of formed, how are, between these major milestones, right? How do we prevent burnout, and how do we, I guess, also encourage engagement with the game? And I think of WoW as an example of this. In Shadowlands, I leveled up and I did my thing and blah, 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 blah. And at a certain point, I logged on, I raided, and then I logged off, and I'll see you all the next raid night. And that there was nothing to fill the gap in between for me personally.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's going to be interesting because we've already seen it with some games, right? In terms of, the hardcore people just take off, and they're at the end game pushing stuff, and everyone else is just kind of like, a little bit behind them, and they have nothing to do waiting for people to catch up to do group content. And then in a game like this, you're going to have that effect even more rubber banded, right? You're going to have even if you take 2 weeks off, that's still not enough to get to max level. And someone who's no lifing in their mother's basement, or for whatever reason, no lifing, right?
Yeah.
They'll be max level. And these people that even took 2 full weeks off and were playing 16 hours a day will still be so far behind those people.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'm a little worried there will be burnout on both sides, right? Like the people stuck behind will get this like feeling of, oh, I'm never going to catch up.
Mm-hmm.
And the people at the front will be sitting there for so long without being able to do the group content they want to do. They're going to burn out and just like kind of stop playing, or maybe I could see like those top tier players maybe stopping playing for a couple weeks or a month before, just logging on once a day.
Just have the bodies to do stuff with down the right.
Yeah.
Like, so we've talked about this before, like the bell curve, right? Mm-hmm. Where you've got the people that are behind on leveling, you get the people that are way ahead, and then most people are in the middle. I think to Barney's point where you're talking about it being a much bigger problem. I think that's what we're going to see, right? Is it's going to be a much more, a much flatter bell curve with a wider distribution. And so everyone is going to be at such a different point in the game. But you just said something that definitely triggered something for me. Do you think that this is going to, people being afraid that I'm never going to catch up? They've got the advantage. I'm never going to be amazing. So it's, Lost Ark had a lot of this, right? Is if you don't play every day from day one, you'll never be as strong. That other guy will always be 1% stronger than you. You'll never be able to catch up.
Just a couple $1,000s later and you're caught up.
Well, a couple $1,000s later, you can catch right on up. But do you think that this can happen to guilds? Do you think guilds will find this in that, Axiom ran with X amount of people all the way to the end. Suspect ran with X amount of people all the way to the end. And our guild, we got hit by the queue. I mean, just basic queue distribution and the randomization of that. 3/4 of our members were in queue day one. We didn't get in until day two. We're a day behind already. We know we're not going to catch up, and we'll never be able to catch up. Is there a way that Intrepid can kind of combat that, do you think, early on, especially with the limited servers, as we've talked about in the past?
I mean, this isn't quite an answer to your question, but you brought up a really good point. And kind of what I actually see happening is there's going to be a lot of redistribution of guilds. Mm-hmm. So players that are in a guild that they're feeling is too hardcore are going to go find a group that is a little bit more their speed, and vice versa. So if you have a bunch of people at endgame sitting there waiting for the rest of the guild to catch up, I could definitely see a lot of players leaving their loyalties behind and just saying, oh, I'm going over here to, like Legacy or one of these guilds that's just going super hard. And that, I mean, I guess that's another form of what Steven is talking about and trying to create systems that will kind of give friction to different groups and try to make sure that no group can just take over.
Yeah.
But then you'll see a group take over because all the best player or all the hardcore players, not necessarily the best, will end up in, 1 or 2 guilds that are there doing the content when they're ready for it.
Okay, I have confession time. Ready? Yeah. All right. Forgive me, Captain Redbeard, for I have sinned. It has been like 36 years since my last confession. I am currently playing because some Axiom members got me into it and forced me on pain of death to play Tower of Fantasy. And that makes so much sense. That makes so much sense. You guys just decided to mute. That's good.
Wait. Oh, I disappeared too, though.
You both disappeared. I don't know why.
I'm still here though. I'm in the ninja.
Give me one.
Redbeard left the ninja.
They can hear you. Redbeard fully left the ninja for the memes.
I think he left for the memes. That screwed up the whole.
But that screwed up. Yeah, that screwed up everything. Yeah, that moved the overlay.
I'm back.
You know what's funny? I could just go the rest of this thing and not put Redbeard's camera back on there. There we go. That would be Pog. So I've been playing it, and they're doing something very interesting. like we don't have to get into the whole concept of the gacha game and the blah 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 and the loot box and all that kind of stuff. But they are doing something quite interesting where there are certain points for map completion. There are certain chapters in the story, and there are certain levels, and you only can progress to a certain extent. For example, today I went and I did my main story quest, and I got to a certain percentage, and the next quest said this chapter will unlock in 61 hours. So, I mean, the most blatant time gating at all of all time. And I think we're going to see something similar to that in Ashes, as we see, you know, the time gate behind nodes leveling, the time gating behind just a lot of things like that. I mean, what are you guys thinking? Do you think that that's, if is there value in that for it?
I don't think we're going to see the blatant time gating like that. So I actually just today downloaded Destiny again because they have that free expansion thing going on this week. And they have a lot of that in that game. There's a lot of, you can only do this 10 times per season, or you can, only do this, 3 times a week or 1 time a day. And I hadn't played Destiny 2 in a while. And one thing that I instantly remembered when I started playing again was how annoying those systems are. Because it's just, it's another form of dailies. And I've always said that you can't get away from dailies. And I don't think that an MMO necessarily needs to get away from dailies. They just need to get away from how they typically are delivered. Everybody always wants to complain about the go kill 10 boar quests. But the moment you put a little bit of story behind it, people stop complaining about it. And it's literally the exact same thing. There's just a little bit of narrative behind it that incentivizes you to want to go do it.
You don't just click through the story and just ignore it all.
No, I do. That's what alpha and beta testing is for, is to get the story. Until Steven blocks all of it, and
of course,
and then I actually have to pay attention on live. But so from the time gating side, I think that some type of time gating is necessary.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if we're necessarily going to see that level that you're kind of describing in Tower Fantasy.
Definitely not that level. Definitely not.
I don't think we will see 0 out of 10 per week kind of a thing. I think there will be arbitrary time gating that happens. It's like, hey, you need 10 of this item. This item only drops from this boss. This boss only spawns every 48 hours. So it takes X amount of time for you to
it only drops at a 10% rate. So this is obviously and there could be things where the node levels, right? And when this node levels, the dungeon unlocks, but for the dungeon to unlock, it's not like, oh, the node leveled and then boom, the dungeon's there. Maybe it's the dungeon unlocks and the next time the summer season comes around, the ice melts and is permanently melted. Working and things like that. And that is kind of a time gate. Not necessarily that, once the node unlocks, this thing will gate for 48 hours before it becomes available. But they've talked about and they've hinted at multiple triggers for an event to happen. So the node needs to unlock, and a fall needs to pass, and the people in this node need to buy at least 300 cosmetics from the store. I
think the biggest thing that we're looking at here is it can't be immersion breaking. If there's just a timer there and there's literally no reason for it, then it's like, well, why?
Get it the fuck out.
Now I'm just frustrated.
Yeah, I'll tell you why the gacha game isn't immersion breaking when they do it. Because there was no immersion to begin with. Boom, lawyered. Okay. but yeah, to that point, it needs to feel natural. If a thing was to be discovered, a dungeon was to be discovered, and as soon as the node levels up to level 5, you saw NPCs gathering supplies for 48 hours, and then NPC run exploratory caravan just going out, and then people knew we're going to follow that caravan, it's going to discover something at the end of its whole trek. Something like that feels very immersive to me. Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah.
But
I'd like them to send out 10 caravans and only 2 of them find something.
Yeah, so and everyone's spreading out.
I know.
We're doing the Discord comms. We're like, okay, I'm at caravan 6. It's nothing. It's a dead end. It's just a clearing here. There's a couple mobs.
And then suddenly something opens up and you're like, well, fuck. miscalled that one.
No, I mean exactly. And so, looping back around to the original question of burnout, right? So obviously with the gating, whatever the time gating, effort gating, whatever the gating ends up being, how and can you guys think of some good examples in MMOs that give you things to do in between that? What are you doing between raid night? What are some things that work? And I will say for me, like of all the games, Guild Wars 2, the questing for legendary items, trying to get those legendary items, clearing the map, unlocking all the points in the map, that was a lot of fun for me.
Well, and I think that's kind of the main thing when it comes to RPGs is that's what you are doing in a nutshell. I think boiling it down to the simplest of terms is increasing your player power so you are stronger and more effective the next time you go into raid or PvP. Whatever it is, like that downtime in between needs to be a progression of player power, whether that be through horizontal progression, vertical progression, whatever. That's kind of what that focus tends to be, at least for a player like myself, where that's kind of the driving factor. That is the reason why I am doing that. Like PvE or PvP or naval or this specific thing, and then everything in between needs to be helping me to become more efficient or more powerful at that end product. Though it didn't last very long. New World crafting is kind of what you did in between, going out and getting the materials to craft the items so you could be more effective at the next siege, at the next settlement defense or attack that you had. From the burnout side of that, burnout is 100% on the player.
Mm-hmm.
It is, generally speaking, most people who play an MMORPG, they're an adult, generally speaking. Those same people aren't always great with, I was trying to figure out how to say it.
Yeah.
Those same people aren't always great at determining how far or how hard is too hard.
Mm-hmm.
How much time spent is too much time spent. Then getting to that point of burnout.
That's fair.
Well, I think part of the thing is also, at least for burnout, like this is supposed to be a hardcore game. What Steven is trying to design a game that people can dedicate a lot of time to. And so a lot of games we've had recently, there just hasn't been that much content or that many things to do. So you end up getting burned out when you go hardcore. You just run out of things to do. You get to a point of diminishing returns where your actions are no longer rewarding. You're not actually progressing, whether that be straight combat, getting stronger in combat or more efficient in combat, or lifestyle stuff too. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of people enjoy doing that, and that's still progression for, depending on your motivations. So I do agree with you, but it's also, we're all hoping for a game that will have so much content that you can, put in, 16 hours a day for a couple weeks, and then 8 hours a day for the rest of the time, and hopefully not get burnt out, because you're always having something to do, always having something to progress. And the key there is, you are getting rewarded for your efforts no matter what you're doing.
Yeah, I think that, I want to address something Redbeard said. He's, you're talking about New World. As you said that, I think that definitely triggered for me as a truism. I didn't ever really feel that I had nothing to do in. There was always, and maybe it was because we played for such a short time, but there was always a weapon to level. There was always some crafting to do. There was always a dungeon to run. There was always a portal run or a chest run or something going on, right? There was always something I could progress. That might have been because of the truncated timeline of we all played that game for like
a month.
I was gonna say 6 weeks, and then I felt like I was really stretching it. We mined some more Calcum. Congratulations, let's be done with this thing. But then I think one of the tough things, to your point, Bardic, because I agree with you. Trust me, especially when it comes to a game like Ashes, I'm going to be of the opposite problem of like, I want to do a little naval, and then I want to go to my farm, and then I want to run the I'm going to have so much stuff to do. I'm going to be very satisfied. But having a ton of content, if that content doesn't, I don't even want to say feel meaningful, if it doesn't fit multiple niches, or there isn't enough deep content within your niche. For example, if I'm just here to PvP, well, I don't care about the PvE or the crafting or the this or the that. I don't care about all these things. And so even there are times where you present a metric ton of content to a player and they say, well, I'm only interested in this 10% and this 10% isn't enough content. This game has no content.
Yeah,
well, I think that's a huge issue from the player side is specifically for an MMORPG, because not a single MMORPG, good or bad, at least that I've played, has allowed people to, in my opinion, rightfully justify the lack of content because they only focus on a small portion of the game.
Yeah.
Because in most MMORPGs, you have to, even if your focus is PvP, and I don't like the way that WoW did it, but the way that WoW does it is that you have to participate in the PvE to be able to do PvP.
Yeah.
And so, like, by not doing those things, you are hindering yourself in other aspects. So if you go into WoW and say, I only want a PvP, I never want to run a dungeon, I never want to run a raid, okay, great. You're not going to be good at PvP because you're going to be statistically behind people who are experiencing more of the game and have access to better gear and all this other stuff that comes with that. And they're able to be more powerful, you know, in that other aspect. Now, the reason why I think they do that wrong is because I don't think somebody should be forced into a certain type of game. So crafting, for example, like crafting is going to be huge in Ashes. You don't have to be a crafter to benefit from crafters. You need money, or you need some kind of resource, whether it be your time, money, whatever.
Yeah.
But you don't necessarily have to be crafting it yourself, and I think that that's great, because the opposite is WoW, where you're being forced into content that you don't necessarily want to do. So from a burnout side, I still really think that it's, regardless of if you have a focus or you're just very general and you're playing an MMORPG the correct way, quotes on correct way, being, kind of experiencing multiple avenues and maybe focusing on one, but experiencing a wide breadth. You are to me, the burnout side is a very personal thing, because what's burnout for Fane is different than what's burnout for Bard is different than what's burnout for myself. I don't know if there could be systems within the game that Intrepid develops that kind of incentivizes people in a way to maybe take a break. Like, hey, you've done everything you kind of can this week or today. You don't need to just sit here and, kill boars for 12 hours. Like, you can take a break and continue on. But people can still decide to kill those boars for 12 hours. And so that's why, for me, burnout is a very personal thing. And I don't know if a development studio is necessarily responsible for reacting to that. I'd rather them just focus on making a good game with a lot of different avenues that players can go down. And if somebody gets burnt out, then I would just tell that player, okay, take a break and then come back and try not to burn yourself out the next time.
If you're only focusing, it's niching. It's when you niche down too much, right? You cannot create. If you could create a game where I could play 16 hours a day just naval stuff and it's fun, or 16 hours a day just PvP and it's fun, or 16 hours a day and just raiding and it's fun, you're really developing multiple games. You're just jamming them all into one. You would be better off segmenting these games to target the types of players that you're looking to target. It can't be, it needs to be an engaging play cycle and a important play cycle, but it can't be one play cycle. One little niche in the game cannot be enough to take up all of the time. It just can't. That's just not how game design works. And hopefully, the big hope with Ashes is that everything is so integrated together that we see that you are forced to do some other things, not to the extent that it feels bad. I don't want to engage with naval, but I have to do a certain amount of naval. Well, I don't want to do it to the point that I don't want to log on today because I have to do naval content. it should be just to get a taste. You have to interact with every system a little bit every single month.
So a lot of this talk has been focused on, the people who are going hardcore, funnel, focusing down on a niche. I'm a little concerned we're going to get burnout from the more casual players because they're going to get left behind in the dust, and then they're just going to feel like their efforts are not rewarding. Do you think that's a legitimate concern? And if so, is there a way that Ash or Intrepid could try and prevent that?
So you're talking about burnout from the side of everybody is so far ahead, why even bother?
Kind of like that.
Is it burnout, or are we talking more like hopelessness almost? Like, I'm never going to catch up.
I feel like every time I've gotten burnt out on a game recently, as I've said earlier, it's when my efforts stop being rewarding. So it was like you were saying in New World, there's always something to do.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, I was like, well, this isn't really helping me progress in any kind of meaningful way. It's just getting so grindy. You're spending 8 hours farming materials to gain 2 levels in a crafting and making it.
So this is, I think that's a perfect example, because I think somebody like Fane, who decided to fish for the first 2 weeks and only fish and didn't experience
make money.
No, I'm right.
Make money is what I was saying. Make wealth, Baron, is what we were talking about here.
But regardless, somebody who decides to not go the min-maxi route down through a game is going to have a longer time until they reach that kind of content burnout phase. Like I said, a month for New World kind of, content, just that was roughly the time for most people that I played with, where it was like, okay, there's not really anything to do anymore except log into a chess run, log out, and then go back to playing Overwatch or whatever else you want to play, right? Like, you don't have to stay logged into the game 24/7. Which, for the record, I think is good, but you need to have more than just one thing that you have to do.
Yeah.
I don't want to feel like the moment I log out, I'm now hurting myself so severely that it's just unrecoverable. And I think that's kind of the burnout side that you're talking about, Bart, right? Where it's like, why bother logging in for 2 hours if that 2 hours isn't going to actually help me progress in any meaningful way? So I'm just not going to play the game in general. I think it's a legitimate concern to your question about that. 100%. I mean, it's something that we've talked about in the past, right? Where it's like, how do we, I think we all, if I remember correctly, we all agreed that we want to make sure that the people who only have 2 hours can log in, and as long as they're effective with their time. I think this was the thing that we all said as well, is obviously if you log in and you just sit in the town for 2 hours, you're not going to progress anything. That's your own damn fault. But if they're effective with their time and they only have 2 hours and they do everything they can to progress, they should feel as though that they have progressed something. Now, that being said, it is an MMORPG. If the same level of effectiveness is applied at 8 hours a day as opposed to 2 hours a day, that person is going to be ahead of you. And I think that is okay in an MMORPG.
You're not going to be able to gate people, assuming effort is this. Even assuming that effort is different, right? If your effort is, an 80 on the scale, and mine is a 30, but you can play 2 hours a night and I can play 16 hours a day, even though I'm much slower at doing the thing, I will always beat you in the long term. And so it's you can't gate how much time people can play on a daily basis. You can't gate people's life situations. So I think that you are going to see, I do think you will see some burnout, but I almost wonder if that's that natural player drop off that we see on a regular basis.
Well, I mean, I feel like the origination of dailies comes from trying to solve this issue, right?
Yeah.
You can do these dailies; they're super efficient. So if you can log on for 2 hours and get these dailies done, even if someone goes out and grunt, and often dailies that I'm thinking of here are like ones that give you reputation for something, right?
Yeah.
That you need to progress or whatever. But then feels bad for anyone that's doing effort, that's putting in the hours and they're just stuck there waiting. So yeah, I don't know what the solution is. I am just a little worried with how hardcore this game is. We're going to have some severe. I mean, we'll definitely have some drop off, but you don't want it to be so much that, you end up with very unhealthy servers.
I think Ash is going to have an immense amount of drop off. Like,
Yeah.
I maybe even more so than what the average chart is. I think it's going to have the people who stay, I think, are going to be committed, and the people who leave are going to leave in droves. Because a lot of people have an idea of what Ashes is going to be, and hopefully through the open development, and then A2 starts, and then once we get into the beta, like content creators sharing that information, showing what the gameplay is, hopefully that will kind of get people to go, okay, this game isn't for me. But hype will carry that through, and I do not see the hype for this game slowing down. Every single hype wave that we've seen, I mean, we have the eyes of one of the biggest streamers on Twitch around this game, and at a fairly consistent
I'm right
level.
here. You don't have to talk about me in the third person. It's fine. I'm right here. It's cool.
Yep. Yeah, Fane. Yep.
He's big in China.
I'm big in China. I'm big in China.
But so that hype wave is going to cause people to come into the game, and I kind of getting off topic here, talking about player drop off, but I think that to me isn't burnout. That's just people thinking that the game is going to be one thing, experiencing it, then going, hey, it's not for me.
Yeah.
I lost my $15 that month, and then they move on and they go back to playing Fortnite or whatever it is that they want to play.
Yeah.
Steven has talked about wanting to make like people of all levels be able to make meaningful contributions to various activities, whether that be raids, group projects, anything like that. How do you see that? Do you think they can even do that?
I think the problem, just real quick, I think the problem with that still lies with the players, because just because somebody can make a meaningful contribution for an hour in a raid, that raid might go for 3 hours. Mm-hmm. And if they can't be there the whole time or whatever, they're not there long enough to get the loot drop. They're not there long enough to get, whatever it is that comes thereafter. They might be able to make a meaningful contribution for an hour, but the raid night might be scheduled for 3 or 4 hours. And that's not Intrepid's fault. I guess you could argue and say that it could be their fault. They made the boss too difficult, whatever. But that's also the content that those other people want. And so I don't know if I really believe that statement of everybody can make a meaningful contribution, because that could be coming from a place of, well, technically donating 100 wood, one stack of redwood could be a meaningful contribution because redwood is really needed. Okay, that's great, but in the grand scale of things, how much redwood do you need for a siege defense? If we need 100,000 of it and somebody donates 100, thanks for the penny. Next,
well, I think some of that kind of comes into the concept of what you're going to define meaningful contribution as, right? So in terms of player level, you might not be able to help us on the world boss because we're going to be rezzing you every 2.8 seconds. Another cleric's going to be popping res on you because you're going to get wiped by any basic mechanic. But we do need wood back at the node, and say we need 100,000 wood. So we're going to go spend 4 hours taking down this raid. We're going to go spend 4 hours or 2 hours murking this world boss and fighting people off and doing all of that kind of stuff. But that person in that 2 hours being able to give you 2 hours of wood, because if you're level 15 or 50, it doesn't really matter. In theory, you're still going to be able to give X amount of resources. You're not going to chop faster at a higher level. You're not going to have a great big axe. So you can still make...
You might.
I mean, You're not going to chop meaningfully faster, probably. And the guy that can chop faster is probably also not going to be in the raid. He's going to be chopping wood because that's clearly what he likes to do. So you can still make grumpy, but you can still make some. You're not going to be able to help in the raid, but you can help get resources to build out the node. You're not going to be able to be pushing the world boss, but you can grow the ingredients to make, and even make potions to help us defeat the world boss. You can make actual meaningful contribution. How well that will be done on Intrepid side remains to be seen. and how well the community reacts. I think that if you're smart as a community, you're going to react in such a positive way. It's that yeah, level 20 guy who just joined our guild. Right now, let's assess what you're doing. Okay, this is how you can best help us. You doing this is going to help us the most as a group.
Well, I think a potentially big issue that, and this goes to a psychological one, is, and even can be projected forward into real life, is the comparative analysis of success.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at yourself in comparison to somebody else's level of success, given their own life circumstances, their own decisions, their own whatever, if you look at somebody else's gameplay, somebody else's gear, whatever, and you determine that that is success, then you will constantly be chasing that, because especially if that person is able to just outplay you and outskill you all the way around. I'm not saying you don't strive for that, right? But I think it's important for gamers to go, okay, this is what I want for myself. I want to have my farm where I can, my freehold where I can, where I can farm, and that's what I want to do. Like, this is the thing that I determine as success within the game. It has nothing to do with what anybody else's level of success is based off of. This is what I define as success for my own gameplay. And I think if people are able to do that, they will find a ton of fun and a lot of effective gameplay within 2 hours of 2 hours of logging in. But if you're constantly comparing yourself to somebody who's able to play 23 hours and 59 minutes a day, every day for 2 weeks straight, especially on launch, like, then you'll never be happy, because you're constantly going to be chasing that person that you just cannot compete with. And so I think people need to be really careful with how they're determining success on their own level within the game.
Yeah.
And I think what Intrepid can do to kind of foster that kind of thought process is giving lots of niches. So lots of like avenues to go down that they do take time. And yes, the player who plays 16 hours a day for, 2 years will be able to eventually get down them all. But, if you focus on one thing, you can go down that niche and be pretty damn good and recognized as pretty damn good at that niche. But you need enough of them so you don't end up like, if you focus on something and you're more casual, you don't just end up at the dregs at the bottom of the pack.
Yeah. Let Wizzy develop her interior design for freeholds that and apartments that she wants to do. Like, I mean, have those kind of weird non-player power progression niches. I think is huge. Now, that's not typically something that I personally like to go down, just from a gameplay perspective, because when it comes to RPGs, whether it be online or offline, I'm about the power. I want like everything that I'm doing. I want to make sure that it is something that is being done to progressing my power. And now if I reach a point like in Star Wars: The Old Republic, where it's like there's only so much I can do in a day or a week, then I start doing kind of the more lifestyle stuff. I go mount hunting. I go, do some PvP arenas and stuff like that just for fun. But I agree. I think you need the casual player base needs more niches than the hardcore player base, because the hardcore player base is already playing the game because they know they've looked into it. They've done the research. They know that they want to play it, kind of a thing. Like, you don't have to convince them. They've already convinced themselves to play or not to play.
Yeah,
we have to convince the casuals to play.
Well, and giving the casuals really make a game feel alive, right? So if you're a hardcore player, when you go into town, if there's 7 other hardcore players there, the game feels dead. If there's 36 casuals running around, awesome. That makes the game feel alive. When you go to the market board and there's 20 stacks of health potions on there, hardcore players aren't making those health potions. The casuals are doing it to make money. They might be very hardcore in their potion making, but that's about it. It's still, casual gameplay, or what we would consider casual gameplay, for sure. So there are places, I think, for everyone. I think the big thing is meaningful change. And I would, here's our, our call to action for the community in general. When you guys are out there in this game and you see someone making a lesser contribution, go out of your way to thank them for the contribution that they're making, and say it's really meaningful. I sure didn't want to chop down these 600 trees today. I'm so glad that you enjoy just chilling and watching anime and chopping down 600 trees. That's super cool. Appreciate you. Because building that and fostering that kind of community early on, I think it will make it, it will help retention, right? The gameplay itself affects retention, but goddamn if the other players around you don't also affect retention in a big way.
Like on Super's note about just always wanting to progress, I go back and forth. Like I'm always looking to progress, but as you said, some days or some hours I'm just, tired. I just want to chill, and I want to watch some TV shows and just run around and do some lifestyle stuff. And if I have something like that to do, it helps with the burnout, right? A breakup of the focus on a singular focus. Oh, well, today I'm just not going to hop in Discord. I'm just going to spend, 4 or 5 hours just focusing on this. That's a lot more chill. So yeah,
that's me the entirety of launch week.
Yeah.
Staying out of Discord, avoiding all the stupid questions.
get out of it's already I
shouldn't say that as an officer of a guild, should I?
We've had that issue before where we're like, okay, here's the thing. We're gonna literally 5-minute server mute people that ask on day one, because we know we'll do a big Discord post with like, hey guys, this is the server, this is the launch time, this is our basic plans for the node we're heading to and all that stuff. And I swear to God, when somebody gets on for this 10 a.m. launch at 9:37 and says, so what server are we rolling on? 5-minute server mute. I don't even care. I don't even care. I don't care at all. That is you. I might even lie to them. Make them wait in the wrong queue. That would be a good play. Just make them wait in the wrong queue for 9 hours just to put them behind, because I don't care, because you got to pay attention. But so real quick, and then I do want to move on to our guesses about the live stream. What can we? So we've talked about the game developers. We've talked about players in the game loops, all of that, and your in-game time. What are some tips that you guys have for everyone out there out of game to really to prevent burnout? Fucking gamers. I knew it was going to be silent when I asked that question. I knew you were both.
I have points, but no one's going to like them. Like, keep up with your other real life stuff, get exercise, eat decently healthy.
Do some sleep. Meal. Okay, so let me ask you more specifically. Are you guys going to when you go to Costco to get healthy food to meal prep for the week, are you guys going to also buy your drugs? No, but healthy meal preps.
Yes, I buy my drugs at Costco.
Yeah, it's they sell them in bulk. It's great. It's a great deal. Yeah. I don't know. It's a 2-pack.
Crack is great in bulk.
Much cheaper. And those $1.50 hot dogs. But yeah, but eating healthy, not ordering.
I'm just gonna buy $100.50 hot dogs.
Not ordering pizza. I've said this multiple times, and I will throw it out there again. I'll probably say it another 1,000 times before it comes. If launch day comes and it is like, here you're going to be in queue for the next 12 hours, I'm not going to. There's so many people that just like manically sit in queue, nervous and ready and excited. Dude, let the adrenaline go. Go like sit and meditate somewhere for 30 minutes. Go take a nap. Go to bed. Come back tomorrow, because you'll be so much more effective in your game time, well rested. To Bardick's point, take care of your stuff. Go out and see your family. Make sure that they know that you exist in these first 2 weeks. Go get some sunshine. Go touch some grass. You just walk right outside. Oh, that's what grass feels like. I walk right back inside. That's fine. But really, really balance it. And just remember that it's a game. And like an MMO, we play these games so long term. You're not going to win day 1, day 2. We talk about that.
Unless you play New World.
Unless you play New World. We talk about that a lot in poker, where there's level 1, a new tournament, and some guys raising and re-raising and being super aggressive, and we're like, dude, you can't win the tournament right now. You're like a day and a half away from winning the tournament. You can't win today. Is a big thing. So take it slow and enjoy your time, because game launches, I think, are really, really special times. At least I feel that way. That game launches are amazing times, and we You know, we're always in these 5, 6, 7 year wait periods for them.
Yeah.
So when you get it,
We're not actually
enjoy
waiting
it.
for a good new MMORPG. We're waiting for a good launch week.
Yeah. Well,
that is our generation's like copium hit every 5 to 6 years.
If you could ever get an MMO to
MMO.
launch smoothly on launch week,
I'm not even talking about smooth. I'm just talking about like the whole launch experience, like where everything
Yeah.
is fresh and new and like all of that stuff. Like
it's new, it's exciting, and even the people that are in there. I do remember in Alpha 1 we had some issues getting in early on, and a bunch of the people, and I was very proud of I'm gonna pump Axiom here one more time, but I was very proud of a lot of the people at Axiom that when somebody new to Alpha 1 got in and we'd all been testing in Alpha 0 and they were like, whoa, isn't this cool? Whoa, isn't that cool? Oh, and somebody said like, oh, I wish you were in. Are you in? Are you in? They kept asking. And I'm like, I'm not in, but I'm glad you're in. I'm happy that you're having fun with it. We'll all get there eventually. No one played Alpha 1 day 27. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah. And I think Thane has said this before, but Ashes, with what we were talking about, earlier about how much longer it's going to take to do everything, how much more there's going to be to do. This is going to be a marathon, not a sprint. Yeah, you can get ahead a little bit, but unless you're going to be a shut-in and just never see anyone, never do anything for the rest of your life, you're going to be at the same rate as anyone else if you take a week off and then you just focus down, get your shit done, and then play anywhere from 6 to 8 hours a day for those who are more hardcore, as opposed to just saying, I need to play 16 hours a day for a month or two straight, or it's not going to work.
Yeah.
At that point, you get burnt out.
Find where your. I'm gonna use the word. So from the hardcore grind your fucking ass off, like day 1, week 1, week 2 kind of perspective, things that you can do to help that side of it. And anything that I say, if I say the word healthy while describing this, understand that type of gameplay is not generally speaking healthy. So, but know and understand that when you wake up, unless you are able to somehow min-max the shit out of your time, or you get lucky like I did in New World, and I was sitting there waiting 2 hours early when they opened up the servers live, and so I was able to get in and dodge queues. Know and understand that when you wake up, chances are you're probably not going to get in right away. Don't just sit there and be all fucking pissed off, because that's going to ruin your minute 1, hour 1, day 1 experience. Know and understand it's going to happen. And if it doesn't, awesome. Now you have something you're excited about. Now it's even better. But if you go in there and you wake up and it's like, I'm in queue for 3 hours, fuck this game, fuck this development studio, all of this stuff, you've just ruined your first week, definitely your first day, possibly your first week of gameplay.
Yeah.
Secondly, 2 to 3 hours before you are getting off to get some sleep, chug the fuck out of water.
Yep.
Chug the absolute fuck out of water. This not for health. I mean, the benefit is from the health side, but I'm just telling you, not from the health side, but because it fucking works. You were able to sleep harder. You were able to wake up more refreshed. Sure, you might have to go to the bathroom a couple of fucking times within the first couple of hours of waking up, but chug the shit out of water but those 2 to 3 hours before you go to bed. Huge help. And don't overstress yourself. I have realized because of New World that I cannot just game for 48 hours straight anymore. I am useless without sleep. I'm getting old. It's just, I can't do it anymore.
Right, Thane?
True.
And so figure out what your time spread is. Okay, I can do for 3 days, I can do 20 hours. I can get 4 hours of sleep. I can do that for 3 days. Then for the next 4 or 5 days, I need to do 16, 18 hours, something like that. Figure out what that time frame is for you, because the only thing that is worse than missing out, missing out on those 4 hours or the of you having to sleep, is trying to force yourself to stay awake, and now you have ineffective gameplay and you're falling behind anyways. You're falling behind compared to the person who decided to take 4 hours to sleep.
Yeah.
So, and not everybody can go balls to the walls forever. Some people can go, harder, longer than others, phrasing, but but you have to figure out where that is for yourself. And if you're trying to keep up with somebody else's level, then you're going to learn very quickly that you're actually just going to hurt yourself trying to do so.
Big time. So boys, let's talk about the leaks. He said go pee multiple times in the morning. Let's talk about the leaks that we got this week. We did see Steven confirm Rangers coming in September, right? That we're going to see Ranger in September. And then you guys both saw the stealth mechanic leak to get a little info on that.
I don't know if I did see that.
So Steven had said in the Discord, some augments from the rogue subclass will confer stealth-like effects, though true stealth resides within the realm of the rogue archetype. Additionally, Rangers have a camouflage ability that grants stealth at a distance, but at mid and short range, they are revealed. So, for those that did stick with the entire show, I promised you we would get back to some of these guesses. Boys, throw out your guesses. What are we seeing on Friday?
I mean, with that, I would say I think I missed that. The last thing that I remember hearing being big was the Ranger reveal in September. So I don't know. Maybe they go ahead and show some stealth mechanics on Friday, but I don't know. At the same time, I could see. I mean, Steven has done this before, where he's kind of like gone. I mean, he does it literally almost every single live stream, where he'll go into great depths in talking about something, but then we don't actually see something about it, for a couple of months, right? Like we don't actually see the gameplay side of it. So honestly, I don't know. I'm at a total loss because I have zero expectations going into Friday, because I think that we see the basic ranged combat stuff with the Ranger, quote unquote Ranger reveal. I personally don't think that it is going to be a full-fledged Ranger reveal. I said that last week. I think it'll be a guy with a bow, maybe using some Ranger abilities, kind of like how we saw with the melee combat. So honestly, I am a total blank for what we're getting this Friday, because there's 10 billion things that they could show us, but I guess I would say is I don't think we're getting combat.
I think we're 100% getting Notes 3.
This is Notes 3. This is it.
This is it.
Alpha 2 testers, you all got baited. We're in beta now. Let's go.
You guys haven't been testing Alpha 2? I've been in Alpha 2 for like a year now.
Oh, weird. Do you still fall through the map?
Weird.
But no, I will say that I'm excited for the next 2 months, for this month, and I might be a little bit more excited for Ranger in September, to be perfectly honest. Even if we're seeing early iterations of it, because my understanding was we were going to launch with the 3 archetypes we've seen, as well as Fighter, Ranger, and possibly Rogue. So the fact that they've have some of these Rogue things fleshed out, the fact that they have some more understanding of the difference between like a Ranger camouflage and a Rogue stealth, I'm excited to see. And Redbeard and I were talking this week, and he brought up such a great question, because Steven had said when we start to see big content drops and big marketing beats, that's going to be the lead up to Alpha 2. And I said, aren't we seeing those now? And he said, I don't know. Do you think Steven thinks these are big marketing beats? Do you think that these are like big content drops?
I don't think they're big. I'm also wondering if he said that about Rogues, just so when we see the Ranger have some kind of little stealth ability,
the world
people
doesn't
don't go
explode.
down that dark, deep rabbit hole. What's this mean? Oh my god! Are they getting like
Rangers are better? Baba Yaga was right the whole time? What? And then the world explodes.
Never true, so,
that's definitely never true. And it's okay. So chat, here's the question. I have a question for you guys. Do you think that these are huge, that we are currently in the place of getting huge marketing beats and huge reveals, or do you think that we've just moved beyond the very like meager helping of dwarven tables and mounts, and we're now moving to the regular chunks of large content that they want to see. And here's how you can let us know, guys. If you head over to our YouTube, this VOD is going to be up there, and I want you guys to click the thumbs up button and put comments down below and let us know, are we in large marketing beats right now? I know that Redbeard is going to get the YouTube linked out there for you right now, any second now, because I forget the command. I think this might be, there it is. Perfect. All right. We're getting it linked out there. Guys, awesome. But that's going to be it for tonight. The next time we see you, we will know what the August update is, and we are definitely going to dive in and talk about it. And yeah, so boys, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. I want to say, where can everybody find you? Let's start with Bardic.
You can find me on Twitch, on YouTube, on Twitter, all the stuff. Got a link tree somewhere. And yeah, I mean, we do our weekly show, and then depending on when we get that marketing upbeat, I don't know what you guys think about that, but whenever we start to see that next big marketing upbeat, I will be back to making videos on YouTube and live streaming on Twitch and all of that.
Good stuff. Captain Redbeard.
Oh, Captain Redbeard here on Twitch, YouTube, Twitter. Got my link tree down there in the chat. Thank you, Fane. Big stuff coming up in the future that I personally am excited for. I don't know why, because it's going to be pain and torture and anyways. But I'm doing a shiny only playthrough for Scarlet and Violet when that is released.
Oh no.
That is going to be a lot of fun.
No.
Especially day one. But yeah, so make sure you guys go follow all the things over there and come make fun of me.
Do you have two Switches? Are you getting two copies for multiple hard resets?
No, it's one playthrough. I'm not gonna trade shinies and stuff like that. So
well, no, not trade shinies, but like for the first one, you can go on 2 until you get a shiny, and then select that one.
Like one controller in each hand kind of situation?
Yeah.
That's what like the pro PokeTubers do.
Yeah, they'll do. Actually, I think it's usually a minimum of like 3. Yeah. For that first one. But I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with the first one yet. I might tweak the unwritten rule of shiny hunting if it is too annoying of a reset. But you guys aren't here for that, so we can talk about that later.
For sure. And guys, real quick, it's Fane.com. You know all my socials. Go over there, click, go follow, sub, give me likes, give me thumbs up. And I want to just thank a few people. Dajiel, Miss Kitten Britches, Sir Onsington, Pedro305, and Wea132. Thank you guys so much for the follow. We appreciate you guys following here as well as over on the YouTube. Huge engagement both here and on YouTube tonight. So that was absolutely pog to see. We talk about augments, but now we're going to talk about the pogments. Thank you all so much, and we will see you next time.